All right, so I'm recording now, so we're good. So we're gonna be doing director's commentary, which entails all of us, I guess, for each episode, starting with the second episode. So this is gonna be the first episode of this, and basically we get to share our thoughts on different things. Like Harley gets to share her thoughts on her segment. I get to share my thoughts on the store and things that we do that I wasn't able to show. And Pilk gets to share his thoughts on what he thinks of the episode. So this is gonna be something that's fun for us that we get to do and share with everybody watching, and give a little bit extra content for you guys as well. Um, everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Let's go ahead and start. So,
That's one
we
of the
started
musicians.
with like a little teaser as to like what I found in the store, which was a great find. I wish I could have bought it because it was actually in really good condition, um, and it was for a cheaper price than what it normally goes for. Harley can attest to that since she mentioned how much this actually goes for. So we're gonna go ahead and let it play. Now the intro here, I Pilk did the intro. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about the show because he did it in a way that I wanted him to do it. So good job, Pilk.
I did the absolute best I could.
Well, you did what I asked, so it's fine. He
I'm
took
actually pretty proud of it. I won't lie.
yeah, he took screenshots, and let me lower the volume of this a little because it's a little loud. He took screenshots, or not screenshots, stills, right? Like you froze the image.
Yeah, I literally took like the best frame I could from each clip that. Well, if I didn't have a really good clip of somebody doing like an ad spot or something like that, then I literally just took the best. Like yours right there is like the best frame from that clip, and it's a really good looking clip. Like it's a
Dude,
great like iframe.
you know what sucks? Okay, so in that clip, I weighed almost 20 pounds more than I do now. That sucks,
I
man.
mean, come on, relative to what?
What do you mean relative to what?
That's like me saying I weighed, 70 pounds more than I do. Come on,
Yeah,
get out of
but
here.
no, I was at 175. I'm sitting at
Oh no, you poor thing.
160. My double chin is gone.
You didn't have a double
Oh,
chin.
I did so. Look. I'm gonna
You
backtrack.
get up.
Look,
I
The
don't do
amount of
anything.
vanity that's happening right now.
look at this. Look at this. You
Or
can't
lack
see it because your
thereof.
beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that double chin, man.
Ah,
Come on.
But like
barely.
here's the thing, like anybody who's like looking down slightly is gonna have a little bit of a
Yeah.
little
No,
chin.
but
Like even I have one.
It's a part 90% of that is the angle. I'm gonna be real.
I agree.
no,
Yeah.
I promise you, like my face, like if you guys see me now or like Pilk, next time you see me, you're gonna be like, holy shit, your face slimmed down a lot.
Well, the camera adds 10 pounds, so
Okay, yeah, sure. So
Dude,
there I look. You're telling me I look 185. Thank you.
I'm telling you right now, man. I saw the footage of myself and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hit the gym tomorrow." Holy crap, dude! It's until you see it. Like I always film from like like the neck up for a very good reason.
Yeah.
yeah.
So right here, I just wanted to stop this right here. So Harley's mom passed away from cancer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, breast
How
cancer.
how long ago was that?
Actually we just went past her 5-year anniversary last week, so
Yeah. So
I'm so
as
sorry.
as I was
that's
doing
okay.
the pre-edits for this episode, Harley, she had gone on this not a tangent, but like memory lane kind of thing where she was mentioning her mom, and I was like, you know what, this would be a good time to do like a dedication for her. So I had Harley send me a message that she wanted to put, and then Ronnie put this together for Harley. So
Yeah,
Really nice.
she was an incredible woman. Just really supported my love of gaming and my weirdness. So she's why I am as strange as I am today. And I thank her for that.
That's awesome.
yeah, it is. I mean, like I know like my parents, they didn't really support me that way because video games bad. Um,
Same.
yeah, it was just that I don't know that kind of growing up I had.
No,
Um,
it was a family affair. My dad and everything was like, "Yeah, let's play more violent video games together."
Polar opposite. When I
Yeah.
got into Doom, I think my parents, it took 10 years off their life.
Yeah,
Oh.
so like I just tell a quick story. So my mom wouldn't let me buy Parasite Eve when it released because on the back it said mature sexual themes. There's no mature sexual themes in Parasite Eve. I'm sorry.
No.
So compare it to, you got to compare the MPAA ratings like from then to today. Like, remember the OG Mortal Kombat? I actually have a copy of Mortal Kombat before the MPAA ratings. I have a copy on PC that came in a 3.25 inch flop or 3.5 inch floppy that doesn't have the rating system on it. But when that came out, that was like the end of the world. It's like, this is M rated. This is horrible.
Oh, I know. That's what episode 3 is about.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It would be rated like Y today. Y7.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
I don't know, like it's just how I grew up. Like my aunt was my inspiration for gaming. Like she loved playing games. She was my introduction for a lot of the games that I love now, like Zelda, Metroid. Like because of her, like I played my first RPGs, which was I can never remember which one is either Phantasy Star 2 or the Seventh Saga. And like because of her, I is why I love games. And so I understand where Harley's coming from, just not with my mom.
Um, can I interject here for a
Yeah, yeah,
second?
yeah.
Because mine is the polar opposite. My best friend, when I was a kid, he had like the Nintendo. Like he got the Nintendo when it came out, and he got the Legend of Zelda when it came out, and like we were glued to that game. That's the game that really kicked off my love of video gaming. Now, I did have a console when I was like very, very young, like 3 or 4. We had an Atari, but like what I played Raiders of the Lost Ark, which if you've ever played that, it was an awarded game or whatever. That game's terrible. Now, I will stand by Space Invaders and Super Breakout. I still love those games to this day, but Raiders was a really terrible game. But when we got into like Zelda and things like that on the NES, that really kicked it off. But my parents wouldn't. They were like, no, they'll rot your mind, blah, blah, blah. And when I turned 14, I got my first job, and with my very first paycheck, I worked overtime, and I went down to the local game shop that was like literally 2 doors down from it in the strip mall, and I bought a Sega Genesis with Sonic 2. And I actually was just funny enough tonight showing my daughter that because she's suddenly all into Sonic. So I was like, tomorrow afternoon we're doing a Sonic 2 binge.
Yeah. My youngest daughter, she loves Sonic. Like and like I haven't seen the third movie yet. I really wanted to, but because like my leg is broken, I wasn't able to go. But yeah, like
Hot take, I don't like the movies.
what's that?
I did not like the first movie, and I
Really?
will not. No, I hated it.
You're fired.
I enjoyed it.
Let me tell you why I did not like it.
Really
It reminds
quick.
me of everything. No, it reminds me of everything that is wrong with the 1990s movies. Don't get me wrong. I have a deep love for the Bob Hoskins Mario Brothers movie, but zero parts of me understand that zero parts of me reject the fact that it's a terrible movie. I just have a soft spot for it because of various other reasons. But it is a terrible movie. I did not like the first Sonic movie.
Oh,
And because of
man.
that, I've not seen 2 or 3. Now, I've heard 3 is much, much better.
Two
And I'm a
two
big
was
fan of the
better.
game.
2 was better than the first one.
So I watched all 3 like back to back to back, and I mean, I don't know, the third one was good, but I don't know, Jim Carrey's dance sequence was pretty amazing. Like that was the whole highlight of the whole damn movie.
That's
Was-
the clip I keep seeing on TikTok.
That's
Yeah,
it.
me too.
That's all you need. That's literally
Yeah.
all you need. Nothing
I-
else about the movie. Don't bother watching it. That's all you need.
I am going to, as an OG Sonic fan, I want more from those characters. You know what movie I loved? I love the Mario Brothers movie, the recent one. I
That
think
was
that's
really
how
good,
a video
too.
game movie should be.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that one yet.
How have you
You
not
ha-
seen it? Because you
Do
had it
yourself
playing.
a
Hold on.
favor.
You had it playing in the background of one of your videos.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it in the background. It plays in the background. I just actually haven't sat down to
Oh
watch
my
it.
god.
You have to do yourself a favor. That is how video game movies should be. That to me is the bar. Anything less than that, don't even try it nowadays.
All right, we're moving on. We're
Yeah,
just
that's
going on a
probably it.
rant here.
That's my hot take. My video game hot take.
Well, that's a bad hot take because that was a good
We're
movie.
44 seconds into.
All right, so here we got an ad spot, an ad placement. Zero In is our sponsor for Gaming Across America. if you want to wean yourself off of energy drinks, no joke, I have all the monsters that I collected at DreamHack still in my fridge because I don't drink them anymore ever since I started taking Zero in. So since
I
last
don't
Same.
October,
have energy drinks either anymore because of Zero in either.
it's like I don't promote products that I don't use. That I'm
Same.
very
Yeah.
very firm on that. And I don't promote products that I don't like. You cannot pay me any sort of amount of money to promote a product if I don't like it. That's
Yeah.
just how it is. I stand by that, and I stand by that with Gaming Across America and any platform that I'm on. And unfortunately, I hold you guys to that too. That's just how I am.
You know I'm not gonna do that. I've turned down a number of ad spots.
Yeah. And we've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah. I didn't even get on the Raid Shadow Legends train. I turned that down in a heartbeat. I
Well,
just did not want to be part of that.
I did that once, and then after I did that once and experienced what it was, I was like, no, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
But Zero In as a product, like it got me off of sugar drinks. So I like if I drink a soda, it's zero sugar. So like Coke Zero, Pepsi Zero, whatever. Uh, any juice that I drink is zero sugar now. Like I started losing weight because I started doing all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
sugar just piles on weight onto you really quickly.
Well, it's how your
Yes.
body processes it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's good sugars and there's bad sugars, like and
But either
having
way,
all
your
these
body
excess.
processes sugar in a certain way that it starts storing that as fat.
Right. And so like having all this like I was drinking a monster a day. On top of a monster a day, I was drinking maybe 3, 4 cans of sodas a day. It
Oh,
was
jeez.
it was bad. And like Maria, my wife, she can attest this. When I would get stressed, I used to drink a lot of sodas. I would have boxes of sodas in my trunk of my car, and I would take it to work. And it was bad. I don't
Yep.
do it anymore. Like I don't have that issue anymore ever since I've been taking this. This is a fantastic product. Links is going to be in the description for anybody who's interested in looking at it. Don't let the price scare you because the amount that it cost is less than drinking a can of energy drinks a day.
So here's the way I put it to my people is we were talking about it the other night on stream, and I'm still on my second blister pack. I maybe use it once, twice a week. I usually do it like if I'm doing a late night drive or something, is I'll pop one about 20, 30 minutes before I get in the car. And I'm good for that drive. Like I am solid. So, like for me, it's one of those. When did we get these? Like November?
So I got him back in October when we were at DreamHack. You guys, I think, got him a month later.
Yeah, I think we got them in November.
November. Yeah, I actually tracked I think it was like right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So we've had them for like 2 or 3 months. I'm still about halfway through my second blister pack. So if it lasts you 3 months, that is like an insanely good value.
You don't
There's
even
3
have to
blisters in
take
there.
it every day either, too.
No,
You know what
I
I
don't. I take it
mean?
like once, twice a week.
Yeah, there's
Right. And
there-
sometimes
go
I
on.
even take it if I know I'm going to have like a really long day, because like I might need that little bit of extra energy. I don't take it every day.
Yeah.
It works perfectly well just like that as well.
Yeah,
If I
and
do,
go on.
no, I say like sometimes if I'm streaming super late, like I do a late night Saturday stream, if I've been up
Yes.
at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I have that stream that starts at 10, 11 o'clock at night and it goes till about 2 or 3 in the morning, 100%. I'll pop one of those before the stream and it'll get me right through the stream. And the best part is at the end of the stream, it's not like I'm crashing. I'm just, it's like the end of the day. It's just that natural calm down. It's very nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I was gonna say like there's no adverse effects to taking it. There's no crash. There's no like how like if you drink a whole bunch of caffeine, your body gets used to it and you get that withdrawals. You don't
Yeah.
get that with this. Like
100%.
like you said, you can take it for like a week straight and then not take it the next week. And you will feel no adverse effects to it. You're not gonna be
Yeah,
like, oh man, I'm
it's
craving. I need to have a Zero In.
and I love the fact that it's got like extra vitamin D in it too.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing for me is that I realized that I was vitamin D deficient, probably like a lot of us are because we're indoors so much.
Yep.
And once I started taking it, and it wasn't even the caffeine that's in it because it's only 100 milligrams of caffeine, which is like a cup of coffee. It was the vitamin D that kind of just woke me up and started making me feel better. And as somebody who had a lot of depression in the past and stuff, taking this, and when I started researching it, vitamin D or lack of it affects you mentally, and I haven't felt any I haven't felt the way that I used to feel. Like I'm not saying this cures depression, but it helps if you're vitamin D
certainly help, yeah.
deficient. So
Yep.
I just shout out again to Zero In Root for sponsoring this channel, sponsoring all of us, and check it out in the link in the bio in the description. I'm so used to
In the
saying bio.
bio.
I'm so used to
Yes.
saying bio from TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and pass this because we just did a
Moving
long
on.
ad spot.
This
Okay.
is just repeating everything we just said.
Yeah, right? Okay, so here, I went to a place called Plantation. I don't know, Pilk, you ever been there?
I have not actually.
Okay. You would love this. Being a foodie, you would love this place.
Where was it at?
It's right when we're getting into Georgia.
Oh yes, Magnolia Plantation.
Yes.
I actually have been there. It's right there. What, in Valdosta? I think something like that.
I have no idea. We saw it and I was like, I want to go there.
This is on 75, right?
Yes. Like
Yeah.
I love old looking buildings. That's just how I am. Like anytime I'm like, one of the reasons why I would want to go to like the Northeast is just to see like the
I was
colonial
gonna
style
say,
buildings. Like just
you
'cause
will
I
go
love
nuts
that.
up here. There's like towns that are completely just that way.
Yeah, and I love it.
Yep.
It's just the architecture of it. It's just something that's appealing to my eyes, So
Yeah.
the story here is we're driving through, and I'm like, you know what? We've been to Georgia so many times, and never once have we ever gotten Georgia peaches. So
Really?
yes. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna get some Georgia peaches. So we just start following signs that say Georgia peaches, and it leads us here. But this place had no Georgia peaches, but instead had a plethora of sauces, steak sauces, you name it, they have it. They
Yeah.
have different jellies, they have different it's so many things here, and it was amazing. I bought stuff. I did.
Absolutely.
Like, all of this stuff was just so amazing to me because here in Florida we don't have something like this. What we have would be like hot sauces, like jalapeno and things like. But this was like a variety of stuff.
For the record, these are my favorite video games of all time.
These are your favorite video games? But part of the thing is like we're doing a road trip show, so this bothered me because it was one that was different in between of all the others. I don't have OCD, but that bothered me for some reason.
That is definitely OCD, my guy.
No, I don't, because normally it doesn't.
That is
'Cause-
severely undiagnosed OCD.
No. So
I actually like that transition. That was a great transition.
oh yeah, that's Maria sleeping in the back. I had to put it. I was like, oh, she's sleeping. I gotta
Yep.
put it there. So that whole place, it was fantastic. And since we were going on, driving up to Michigan, and we're gonna get a cabin over there, so I was like, okay, we're gonna be doing barbecuing, so I'm gonna get some sauces for that. So I did. It was some of the best burgers I've ever made with the sauce that I got.
Nice.
Now here we're in Ohio, and the only reason why I recorded here was because the weather was great. Like coming from Florida where it's hot, the weather was fantastic here. Like I had to wear a jacket because it was cool. But again, cool for me in Florida. I'm just like,
I was gonna say, what's cool
So it
for
was
you?
like 70.
Listen, to me it gets 70. I'm wearing a jacket. No, but here it was like 60.
Oh my god, but 40 degrees and I'm walking outside with long sleeves on. Like I'm
Here-
good. Like I don't need a jacket.
Here it was actually in the low 60s. So I was like, okay, I'm wearing my jacket. But it was clear skies. It was beautiful. I wanted to
T-shirt weather.
shut up. I'm not from up north, okay? I'm from the south. Even though we don't consider like South Florida south, like it's not so much southern because it's more like city.
Yeah.
All right, so you see I'm wearing a sweater still. Because we made it to Indiana.
Wow.
I was kind of hesitant to go to this place. And the reason why I was hesitant to go here is because it's a mega replay, and you see mega replays all over the place. And somebody recommended to go here because I guess apparently this one usually has some good stuff. So this section right here, which is all PS2, they actually had a big section of it, but it was like a lot of common games that you
Yeah,
can find everywhere. But something that I learned was that the biggest sellers are the common games.
probably.
That's why they stock so many
Yeah.
of them. So it kind of like opened my eyes a bit to like, you know, how I viewed it, because like I make a mention of it as like I would have chucked these, you know, like all the poker games that they have. I would have been like, I would have chucked these. But I eventually learned the reason why they stock so many is because they sell them so much. And I was like,
I'm
okay,
sure.
that
I'm sure.
I would never have thought of that.
I mean, why not? You and I are looking for rarities, but believe it or not, some people that have like picked up PS2s over time, they're like, I just want to play a poker game. I
Well,
want
you
to
have to
play like
think.
Deer Hunter.
like-
I don't know, whatever.
Dance Dance Revolution, great example. First thing I would do is Dance Dance Revolution Extreme
Oh.
2. It's got Captain Jack on there, man. All right, I can tell you the soundtrack on the game.
Listen, I'm terrible at DDR, but I am one of those guilty people that bought the big metal pad.
Oh,
I
do
am
you?
Horrible at it. Yeah.
Do you still have it?
I unfortunately do not.
Oh,
That's my dream.
me
That is my
too.
dream.
I had to get rid of it.
I used to do DDR competitions.
There was a dream for me to do that, but I just never did. I actually still do a lot of DDR. I haven't in a couple months, but
I'm
shit. Now I
I
might
don't
do
even want to know
DDR.
what those cost
I'm
nowadays.
stopping it here for a second
The
because
mats, you can get a metal mat for about $200. Yeah, I
Can
know
you?
this
That's-
because I
I
almost
think
bought
that's
one.
less than I paid.
Yeah, they actually have one. They have this whole site because I actually was thinking of buying one and I didn't buy it, and I'm kind
Oh,
of
but
kicking my.
They're
I'm
not
gonna
the
end up buying
official
this damn mat.
ones.
No, it's not an official one. It's
Oh,
like an
okay.
aftermarket one. But it's like if you're looking for something that's like affordable, it's not too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they'll have ones for like PlayStation 2. They'll even have it where I think it hooks up to your PC. So
Probably.
it's pretty cool. You can even have your own like display. So if you want to like put a picture on the dance pad, you can do that too, like a custom plate and everything.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I'm stopping
Yeah.
it here for a second because I don't know if you guys remember a time where Final Fantasy VII used to be like behind
Yes.
all the big
Yes.
like the big price
Yes.
its
Yes.
and now
Yes,
it's not.
I can tell you exactly when that was. It was probably like the early 2000s because that was when I was slowly starting to buy some PlayStation 1 games. And Final Fantasy VII was the one that I refused to buy because I was like, I'm not spending that much money on that damn game.
I think it wasn't until Remake came out where Final Fantasy VII dropped from like $60 to down to like under 30 for a lot of people. And now I'm seeing
Really?
yeah.
I think it's about $40 now still.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
not this
and
one.
I couldn't tell you how much I got my copy for because my husband got it for me when we first started dating.
Aw.
Yeah,
That's
because
so
I
nice.
kept saying how much I loved the game, and I was like, yeah, I really want this game. And then one day he just like came to my house and handed it to me. That's all he did. Didn't say it, just handed it to me. And I was like,
So he proposed with Final Fantasy VII.
yeah, basically, and we've been together ever since.
I mean, you can put your finger through it. Yeah, why not?
So that's
good
true
with
love right
that.
there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
love.
true love.
You know what's funny? My wife, for the first Christmas we were together when we were just dating, I bought her a PS2 with Final Fantasy X.
Oh,
Yep. I still like 10. 10 was great. Not so much the sequel.
I think
10
10 was
10
the
was good.
might have been the last game I rented from my local video game store, or like rental store or whatever.
Was it? Man, I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
tell you
trying
when
to-
the last time I rented something was.
That could be a lie too, but I just remember it was one of the games I definitely rented though.
So like this place right here, you could tell it used to be like an old Blockbuster or something.
Yeah.
It looks like it, yeah.
The way it was designed, maybe not Blockbuster, but maybe like Hollywood Video or something.
Hey, I recognize that person.
All right, so here
That's a
Harley got
Silver
tasked.
Slim PS2.
She got tasked with the daunting task of talking about the PS2.
My favorite system of all time.
And she did a good job. It was such a long segment that I had to cut it into two. And there were so many bloopers in here. I had to cut a good amount of them out, but I kept some of them.
I've heard. I really want to see all the bloopers.
Yeah, like, it was just a lot of bloopers. They weren't. I kept the funny ones. Let's put it that way. The other ones were just kind of like she's going on a tangent or a rant. She did a rant about the Game Boy.
I rant a lot. I do that. I'll rant about the Game Boy again any day. It really makes me mad.
So I used to own the Japanese soccer edition, the pink one, and unfortunately I had to sell it a few years ago. But this year at MomoCon, I'm picking one up again, finally.
This is actually my second silver slim PS2.
So
The
Nice.
first one I had, my dog broke. One
So-
of my childhood dog broke. She was running through the house, hit the wire, and it fell down off the shelf.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, now we do wireless. We don't worry about that anymore now.
So the Slim
Fair enough.
PS2s, I don't know if you guys. I'm gonna pause here for a second while I say this because I want to comment on this. The Slim PS2s, for me, they weren't as durable. Like I have my Slim PS2, both the power port and the IO port are loose, and like I never had that problem with my fat PS2.
Believe it or not, my original OG PS2 kind of croaked right around the time I bought my wife the Slim.
Really?
Yep.
But like how?
Mine did too, but it was the laser that went on mine. I played Kingdom Hearts 2 so much on mine that it would only play Kingdom Hearts 2 on my the fat PS2. Specifically,
memorized
not
it.
Kingdom Hearts 1, just Kingdom
Weird.
Hearts 2 would only read that disc.
Why?
I don't know, but it would only read that disc.
It
and
was
then I got
weird.
the silver medals. I now have I have another fat one. That one is used as a light gun, like tube. It's set up to another tube TV for like a light gun kind of arcade setup. So that's what my fat one does.
the PS2 was like screw every other game. She's playing this one only anyways, so I'm just gonna read this one only.
Yeah,
Yep.
actually, pretty much.
So here, this guy made a supercomputer out of PS2s. It was.
Yes.
That's correct. From the university, I think. Is it University of Illinois? I don't remember, but yeah,
I
he
distinctly remember that.
So
made a bunch of. They made a supercomputer.
Wasn't that what
I
they
didn't-
based folding at home on?
I don't know. I didn't believe it at first, and then I found this picture, and I was like, no way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That is crazy.
I think it was so funny that there was so much concern that like they were making supercomputers over in like the Middle East, and it's like, no, we're doing it over here, actually.
Yeah, I remember that. I
Where
remember
the-
seeing those news articles, and I was like, really? Come on.
Yeah,
wait,
they
Oh,
were-
absolutely. Because weren't they IBM chips in those?
I don't.
I don't
remember.
know. I don't know the exact. They were just worried about their. Actually, I do think it was the chips that they were worried about. They're not
Yeah.
being enough.
It was
But
a
it was-
powerful machine for its
But
time.
here's the thing: they were only worried about the North American PlayStations. It didn't matter about the PAL or the Japanese ones. They were only worried about the North Americans being used.
Yeah, and then you mentioned that they did the same thing with the PS3s, but it was like
Yes,
1,500.
The government, the government did. They did,
Oh.
and it ended up being like 1,500 PS3s they put together to make a supercomputer. So yeah,
Yeah, like
there was
I
actually
found this
way more than
picture.
that, believe it or not.
Was there?
Because there was a thing called Folding at Home. It was a program you could download on the PS3, and your PS3, when you're not playing it, would be used basically to calculate all this crazy stuff. They were trying to cure cancer with it. It was really crazy, but they were using everybody that was part of this network would sign in, and then your PS3 would be used as part of the computer. It was wild.
That is insane.
Yeah, I had 4 of them set up in my apartment at one point in time, just folding at home while I was at work.
Wow. I
Until
didn't even
saw
know
my
that.
power bill.
I got into the PS3 late. Like by the time I got a PS3, the PS4 was releasing like 2 years later. That's because for me at the time the PS3 didn't really have anything that I really wanted, so I couldn't justify buying it. Because to me, the PS3 versus the 360 was a better console. Just it had the better games on it.
You and I are gonna have to disagree on that.
All right,
See,
let's go.
It's so hard. It's
Let's
so
go into a
freaking
ring,
hard
because-
like if we're gonna talk about like the better online games, yeah, it's gonna go to the Xbox 360 hands down. But if we're gonna go like story-driven games, I'm gonna have to give it to the PlayStation 3 because
Why?
I can only think of Halo and Gears of War for the Xbox 360. While if I go over to the PlayStation, I could give you like a whole list. We can go to like Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War, just to, like right off the top of my
So
head.
here's my counter argument with that is that a lot of the games that I would have bought or that I did buy on the PS3, I could also buy on the 360.
I was about to say, wasn't God of War on both systems?
No, God
No.
of War was always a PlayStation exclusive, but Fallout 3 and New Vegas were tremendous games at the time. And
Sure.
and you could get
Yeah.
them on both platforms and they played better on the 360. You had Dead Space, again, tremendous game at the time, and you could buy them on both platforms. You
Here's the
had,
problem.
yeah,
The 360, in theory, had better hardware, but the 360 also had one thing going against it, and that was its absolutely terrible soldering job.
well, I
In
mean, we
fact,
all know the Red Ring of Death. I mean, we all
yeah.
know that.
So the thing I don't think you know, I bought a 360 for my father-in-law, and he used to work at a place that made microcircuitry, and so they had a wave solderer. And so when he got a Red Ring of Death, he literally cleaned the board and reflowed the solder on it with like proper leaded solder that you can't sell over in Europe. Like it's the stuff we use over here, or used at the time. We don't use it anymore. But nevertheless, we flowed it with like proper leaded solder. Never had that problem again, ever.
That's interesting. I mean, I didn't know the details between or with the 360 and all that, but to me, like as far as sales went and the games, I thought the 360 was better. There was there's a lot more JRPGs releasing on Xbox at that time too. Like Sony had lost a lot of the third party stuff during that era, and they went to Microsoft. So you had games like Last Remnant, Infinite Undiscovery. You had was it Blue Dragon? All of those were on the 360 that normally would have been on PlayStation because they were all JRPGs. And so
Yeah.
it was a crazy time that to see all the JRPGs going over to Xbox and
Like,
me
I think
being a big JRPG player, like that was a weird thing to see.
the main reason that I bought the 360 in the first place for myself was Panzer Dragoon Orta, because I love the original Panzer Dragoon on the Saturn. But I regret that distinctly because it, like my original Xbox, fried and got Red Ring of Death. My original Xbox fried for roughly the same reason. I played it for 8 hours, and then it burnt out. And literally, I had it for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks when that happened. And Microsoft refused to replace it. So I just was like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. I'm done with this franchise. So I've never bought another Xbox since the one I bought for my father-in-law.
Yeah, I mean, I've never owned an Xbox, so I was just saying that, like, to me it was weird, and that's why, like, I didn't buy a PS3 until much later. Because another one for me was like Star Ocean. Star Ocean, what was it? Last Hope released on the 360, and didn't release on the PlayStation. I was like, what the hell?
Isn't there some licensing stuff behind that, though? I don't remember the whole history of that, but there was some licensing thing with the PlayStation for a while where they had a bunch of developers in their pocket, and then I guess contracts expired, and maybe there were some like lawsuits involved. I don't remember the whole history of that. I'd have to look into that some more, but I remember there was a big hullabaloo in the video gaming community at the time about PlayStation versus Xbox and who owns what.
But I've watched videos on people getting online, so you can still play online with your PS2. There is online support. It's just not through Sony. Sony's discontinued a lot of their.
So right here, I kind of interject Harley.
Yes.
So something that you missed, and I put it here, is that on the back of the PlayStation, you can there was an attachment that you could put to be able to play online on the fat PS2, because the slim PS2 already had the Ethernet port, and then you could also put a hard drive because you had MMO games that were releasing at the time, and I didn't mention this, but like for me, I had Final Fantasy 11, and
you could only play Final Fantasy 11 on the. It's so funny when I saw this part, I totally forgot to mention that in my part too. So I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about Final Fantasy, because I always forget if it's Final Fantasy 11 or if it's Final Fantasy 10. I don't know why I always confuse those two.
Yeah, and
10 have online?
No,
There's
10
too many
didn't have
numbers.
10 didn't have online. It was
Okay,
it was 11. No, and like 11. So I was debating for the longest time if I was going to get it on PS2, if I was going to get it on PC, because this was during I would say the infancy of online gaming.
Yes.
And so playing on the PS2 was weird. Like I had the Ethernet port because I was playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I would play it on my PS2, and it was just so weird to play. Like it was laggy. It had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so Final Fantasy 11, I bought it on PC, because you had to have a hard drive to be able to play that on the PS2, and I wasn't gonna buy another hard drive at the time to be able to do that. So That's why I didn't. But it was just something that you missed. I was like, oh, she missed this. How could she miss this? It's important.
I mean,
And
the
I can tell
PS2
you
is
the
so
exact
much,
reason
man.
why, because I didn't take down the fat PS2 because it's on a shelf and I didn't feel like climbing up to get it.
Fair enough. Yeah, and yeah, there's so much behind the PS2. Like,
Dude, the PS2 is such a landmark system too.
And it's so funny because I didn't even talk about how like the special editions, how there's like all different, they're colored after like cars and stuff because the one person at Sony's obsessed with cars.
there were
Couldn't
so
tell.
many racing games on that system.
Yep.
But only one that mattered.
No, I love Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift. I don't know if you ever played that.
Okay. Fair. Yes, I loved the whole Tokyo Extreme Racer series.
Yes, that was great. And then you had the Need for Speeds, which was on the other
Yeah.
platforms too, but I love those games too. Like Need for Speed, Most Wanted, and Underground, I played like crazy. And I even mentioned it in the when we were looking at the PS2 games.
Funny enough, I didn't play the Need for Speed games on the PlayStation.
No?
I'm all like old school, NFS 1, 2, and 3 on the PC because I had the force feedback steering wheel on the PC.
But did you play Underground or Most Wanted?
A little bit, but I wasn't really enamored by it. By that point, I was into the simulator stuff.
Fair, because I mean those were the games that they really started implementing like story-driven aspects to those games.
Yeah, I just didn't like the way they played. I was more of a like Gran Turismo and, to a lesser extent, Forza until my Xbox bit the dust.
Yeah, something that I'm gonna pause it here really quick. Another game that like that released during this time that upsets me. They haven't done a re-release of it because they need to is the Resident Evil Outbreak games. Like those games were so innovative at the time for Resident Evil, but because they came out during this infancy of online gaming, they just didn't sell that well and they didn't appeal to everybody. But like with the resurgence of Resident Evil now and the way that online gaming is now, I don't know why they haven't made more.
Personal opinion, I thought Resident Evil was always a brand name.
Well, yeah, but I mean, some games obviously did better than others. It just depended on the platform it released on and just how they work. Because Outbreak wasn't known to be able to play like single player; it was all multiplayer.
Fair. And that is especially on a system like that. That's going to limit your playership.
Were Gran Turismo, San Andreas, and Vice City. And I can tell you, I bought at least 4 copies of Vice City. I played so much Vice City. My family played so much Vice City.
Vice City.
I swear to God, my dad was obsessed with Vice City.
I love GTA 3 and Vice City. Those games, man, sucked so much of my life away.
My mom fought with somebody at KB Toys so we can get a copy of it.
Was there more to that story, or was that?
No, well, so like essentially, like, so we pulled up to KB Toys because like we kept burning through the discs of like Grand Theft, like of Vice City, because we played it so much. So like, my mom pulls up to KB Toys. We're at the counter, and like the guy's checking out, and he's like, "I just want you to let you know the game has really mature content." And she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like, it's not for my kids. Like, it's not for them."
Yeah,
She waited until the transaction was over, and she literally ripped the bag from the guy's hand and said, "You mind your fucking business. Don't tell me what my kids can watch." Like, because my mom knew it was in the game. Like, she knew everything. She's like, "Let me make my own decisions." Like, that's just how she was. Like, don't tell my mom what to do. Like,
to
So,
be fair,
as
he was just doing his job.
Yeah, as somebody who was
but
selling that game at the time, you have no idea how many like 5-year-olds were like, "Mom, I want Vice City," and the parents were just blindly like, "Whatever."
I know, but it was
Yeah.
just, it was so
That's
funny. It
your,
was
your
so
mom.
funny.
Credit given, but also that worker was just doing his job. He was looking out for number one, or for really you.
Well, like, he had asked for the ID because, like, at that time you had to. Now they don't even
Yes.
bother. And like, so she presented the ID, and it was like, okay, transaction's done. And like, then he like started snooping further. So it was like a little bit more than that. Like, she's like she even said like, "This game's for my husband" or whatever. It was, I don't know. She just didn't like the way.
Well, she said what she needed to say. Then yeah, she's
Yeah,
good.
like it was a little bit more than just like her
Listen.
being a Karen, because it does kind of sound like it, because like, you know what I mean? She was the sweetest woman in the world that would never fight with a soul, but it's actually a really funny story in hindsight.
I'm just always going to empathize with the salesman because I sold that game at Walmart, and I cannot tell you how many parents came up with like 6, 7-year-olds like in tow,
Absolutely.
and I'm like, you've got to know first and foremost, like,
I was very young.
In this game, you could do this, 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 and this, and they're like, so, what?
Yeah, like she was like aware. She's like aware of the graph. She's like, I'm aware what's in the game, and she was like telling the guy like, yeah, I'm aware what's in the game, kind of a thing. He's like, well, because it's really not appropriate for. And he was started to lecture her about it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
no,
she's like,
you're going overboard.
that's when she went to the point of like, hey, you know what? This is going too far.
Yeah, if she's like, this is for the husband, I'd just be like, hey, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, and he pushed a little further, and she's like, okay,
Yeah,
now
no, he was
I'm
asking for it.
yes.
Yeah.
That's why it was so funny to me, because I'm like, "Oof."
Fair.
So
Yeah.
I want to make a mention to the music. The music is made by MIchaelK, who's our music director.
Amazing job.
He makes every track for us. So much so that like we're gonna put out a physical CD for the season 1. And
Yo.
and we're most likely gonna upload all the songs to like Spotify and all the other platforms, so that way like there's soundtrack for season 1, because it is so good. And like you haven't heard all the songs yet, because he's still sending me like new songs all the time.
That is phenomenal.
'Cause
He
I-
does such a great job.
He does. He did the track that you hear playing like when I'm driving, and when I first heard that track, I started crying. It was so beautiful. It was what I wanted. Like I asked him for specific, like I gave him instructions or directions for specific things of how I wanted it. So he sends me the first iteration of it, and I was like, no, it's too upbeat. I need kind of like a little bit more mellow. Because we're driving, so he sends it to me, and I'm just like vibing to the music, and I just start crying because it was just beautiful. And he does such a damn good job, man. I wish he was here, but he's currently busy working on a project, because he does audio, not audio design. He does he works with like audio equipment and running audio for like productions and stuff like that, and he does every now and then like audio for like commercials. So I mean, when I've known this guy for now like 2 years because of TikTok, and I love his style of music. Like it's just perfect for what we're doing. Like the whole chip metal thing, and it works, and I love it.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Battlefront 2, so here, I don't think we're ever going to talk about this game besides this moment, unless I run into like a Legend of Legaia somewhere. Legaia 2 is a sequel to Legend of Legaia, which was on the PS1, and the sequel sucked. It was bad. I don't recommend people to play this game. I really don't.
What a
It's
great
bad.
salesman.
It is that's your PSA.
Yeah, it's bad. The first game is fantastic. What they did with that first game, and like the detail for that they put into the character models on the PS1 makes this game look like crap. And
Really?
here's what I said. I
Yep.
would have chucked all these, and that goes back to what we were just talking about, where like the most common games that are sold are like the common games,
But how much are those games?
like $5.
Exactly.
You
It's a
also have
cheap
to
game.
think, like, I was gonna say, you could see someone coming in who's just trying to build up a quick collection. It's like, oh, it's a
Right,
$5
and-
game. Like,
And that's the other thing too. People build entire collections. Like Saturn, who's going to be in later episodes, she's doing a full North American SNES collection, which I couldn't. That's too much.
Is she in the market for a Super Godzilla?
I don't know. You can ask her.
I highly doubt she's going to be asking be paying what I'm asking.
She might have it already, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I remember her saying that she got some of that.
The system was in
So this is the second half of the PS2 section, because it's such a large section. I don't remember if it was here or before where you talking about like the Game Boy and all that stuff. But you had mentioned that the PS2 is the longest
it's
lifespan.
the longest. Yeah, it has the longest lifespan. Although people will say that it's the Game Boy,
No,
because technically the Game Boy was on the same amount, like the market for the same amount of time.
Yeah, but Game Boy doesn't count because that's a handheld. Like when they talk about longest
Well,
running,
regardless,
If you're going longest running, then like for home and stuff like that, then it would be PlayStation 2.
how many years?
13.
You know
Sounds
that
about right.
the PS4 is about to beat it, right?
Sure. Really?
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So the PS4, and I know we're talking about PS2, but this is in relation
No,
to it.
this is like
It's related.
So the PS4 released in November 15th of 2013.
that is correct.
This year will mark 12 years, and it's still in production. So that's why I say that.
Is it still in production?
It's still in production.
That actually surprises me a little bit.
Because a lot of the games that release for PS5 still release for PS4. Oh,
No,
here,
yeah.
here's where she was fumbling on her, where she couldn't say, was it Atari?
The Atari Falcone. Oh, I don't even know. Microbot, the Atari.
You still can't say it.
No, and I didn't even write Atari. I wrote Atai in my notes. So I was like, what the hell's an Atai?
So as far as the PS4 goes, the PS4 stopped production in Japan, but worldwide is still in production.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
And again,
I'm honestly a bit surprised by that.
yeah, and the reason why is because they still release games for the PS4. They stopped production of the PS4 Pro. So all the PS4s that release now are still the PS4 Slims.
Yeah.
To represent whatever angle that you're.
I don't know. Sony is.
So it'll just.
Oh yeah, the little PlayStation logo. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. That's such a minuscule like design change, but like it's so important. Like those little tiny details can make or break a system.
And I thought I broke mine when I first did that. Like on my very first model, I was like, oh my god, I broke my PlayStation model thing. And then when I found out it was on purpose, I was like, okay, I'm not an idiot. All right, cool.
That's actually really cool though. Like to think that they went to that level of detail to
Yeah.
ensure that this is, that it's right. Like it's such an anal thing, but to me that absolutely shows that they care about the system.
I don't know too much about the Netflix disc.
Yeah, I don't know what happened now.
All support for the PlayStation 2 stopped.
PlayStation or Sony just they make questionable choices now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 came out in 2006, which is a crazy.
Well, I can't blame him for anything on the PS5. The PS5 just came out at a bad time.
Yeah. Well, so here you mentioned that we were well into the PS3. We were actually
Yes.
just about to start PS4 by the time that PS2 was discontinued.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. So we went an entire 2 generations with a PS2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that with the PS4 though. If they like.
We're
'cause,
almost there.
like, yeah, I mean, like, the PS4 has it's not too much of a difference from a PS5. Like, graphically and everything.
I highly disagree.
No,
hardware
I
is
mean,
very
I mean,
different.
no, I mean, like, it's not like look at a game like Until Dawn, even like a remake, and it being, it's not like we're not talking like PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 jumps. This is what I'm talking about.
No,
like,
but-
there's jumps graphically, but we're not having huge amounts of jumps.
I think the
I-
difference is if it's a game
systems.
made for the PS5 versus a game made for the PS4 that's then like, modded to play on the PS5, the only difference is going to be the ray tracing and like a slight graphical change.
Well, it also
Yeah.
depends on the style that the game was made. So Until Dawn,
That's
it's
fair.
It's not like hyper realistic like you would see in like Last of Us Part 2 or Ghost of Tsushima. So like, and Until Dawn was a earlier PS4 title. So typically the best games that you see visually are going to be at the end of the life cycle of any console, because by that point they know how to push the console to its max, and that's how we get visually striking games such as Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, things like that. And honestly, between, if you look at Last of Us Part 2 on PS4 and then the PS5 version, there is a big difference between the two, which I kind of harped on it because I was like, oh, we don't need to remaster this game, which we didn't. I will still stand by that, but then I look at the differences and I'm like, there's a big difference. It might be not like PS1 to PS2 difference, but it is.
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Is like we're now at the part where it's you don't need to be constantly buying, and like we're talking like from like jumping from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, like we're talking a huge scale difference as opposed from like going from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, where most of the games are still going to generally operate the same way. You know, there
Yeah.
are going to be major differences. This is where we're just going to see fine tuning.
The
At this
difference
point.
is
We're really
that
starting
you're
to
gonna
hone in.
the biggest differences that you're gonna see is gonna be in FPS.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in draw distance.
Yes.
It's gonna be like as if you were moving a slider on a PC. That's what it
I
would
think
be
the
Yes.
like.
problem is you're just looking at the visuals. You don't have to understand like how the calculations work, because like PS2 to or PS1 to PS2, they doubled, almost tripled the polygon rate. But if they did that between the PS4 and PS5, you'd barely be able to know, just because the textures are so smooth at that point. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Where you're really gonna be able to tell is in the backgrounds, in the small details around you, in the ray tracing, things like that. How the light interacts with the character model, less the character model itself. Because the character models are already gonna look really smooth. But like he said, at the end of the PS5 generation, when they're really honing in on like, what the capabilities of the hardware really truly are and flexing that as hard as they can, that's when you're going to see like the ultra smooth, like hyper realistic stuff that are just going to make you like jump out of your seat and go, holy, this
I mean,
console can do that.
that's with any technology, though.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like the more you're exposed to a technology, like to think about how like at least for me, like I was in middle school, I learned how to freaking code on MySpace because I learned how to do a profile. You know, like and the more you're exposed to something, the better you get at it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And like for me, this is why I firmly believe consoles are kind of a necessity when it comes to gaming, because it puts a limit onto the developers, and when you put that kind of a limit onto developers, they get innovative, and it allows them to find workarounds to push games further, and then at
Yep.
that point then you can put them onto PC, and then you have the sliders, and then you can be like, oh, it plays better on PC. But
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it was designed for the console first, and that's, again, you still have those transitions that where you have problems bringing it onto PC because it was designed for the console, not optimized for these unlimited variations of PC builds.
I just
Yeah.
saw the benchmarks in the 5000 series cards. I am not ready to talk about PC right now. I am furious.
We're not a tech channel.
I'm
we
just
don't do
saying.
that.
We can talk tech
just
all
saying.
day, but we're
we
not.
talk very basic tech.
I'm just saying.
So I will say, and kind
That was Porsche Unleashed.
this is kind of a spoiler for like the entire season 1. I did not find a Game Boy Advance section that really like just spoke out to me, which makes me sad. Because
Really?
yeah.
This is actually like a pretty good.
Yeah, but
selection here.
this store had no complete copies of any Game Boy Advance game. No, they were all loose copies. Like if we're talking about like collectors, looking at it from a collector's point of view.
Oh, you're looking at like full complete copies.
Yes.
Like even that shop we went to here in Atlanta, like the one I really like, that little hole in the wall spot. They have a lot of complete copies, but the problem is a lot of them like same day turnaround because the collectors know where to go.
Right. And that's the thing. So in the newest episode that's going to be releasing next month on the 15th, I'm talking to one of the talking to the owner about a game, and he's like, yeah, no, the minute that game comes in complete, it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here I was going to do a segment talking about Dragon Quest, but I cut it. I cut it from the episode. And the reason why I cut it
Aw.
from the episode was because Harley's segment was so big for the PS2 section. So I was like, you know what? It would be too much. I'm not going to talk about Dragon Quest here. I'll probably find another copy because these copies are everywhere. But
Yeah.
like I really wanted to, because this image right here is perfect. This is a beautiful image. It's on display. It's a pristine copy of the cart. The artwork that's on the cart is beautiful. Like it's a beautiful copy, and I really wanted to talk about it, but I just didn't get a chance to. And like I mentioned briefly, I'm like, oh, they changed the name from Dragon Warrior to Dragon Quest, for some reason. But the reason
Hardware.
I was gonna go into the reason why they couldn't
Yep.
do it, because at the time Dragon Quest was copyright. It was copyright claimed in the U.S., so they couldn't use that name.
Was it a
And
board game or something?
it was either a board game or a tabletop game.
Yeah, 6 of one, half dozen the other at some point. But yeah,
and so they called it Dragon Warrior all the way up until Dragon Quest 7, and then finally Dragon Quest 8 was when they finally started calling it Dragon Quest.
I think part of it too is they thought Dragon Warrior would sell really well because wasn't like D&D a big thing at the time?
Yeah. Well, D&D,
Yeah.
it's been a big thing since the 70s.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, okay, fair enough. But it was on like a big, because I know at the time I was getting into D&D, and I know in the 80s it was like a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like this game has, oh man, I don't.
I love Dragon
wanna-
Warrior.
I
I
wanna
own a
go-
copy of Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 in box, like complete perfect.
Like I want to find an episode where I can go into detail on this because Final Fantasy exists because of this game.
Yes.
And this game,
Well, you know who did the sprites for this game?
Akira Toriyama, of course. Everybody knows
Hell
that.
yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Nerds.
Dude, get
Oh,
me on
you're
stage,
one to
please.
talk, miss. I'm gonna go
You
and
and I
talk
can do
about
a
PS2
full
for
sit-down.
freaking 20 minutes.
Let's go. The rest of the commentary is just gonna be about Dragon Warrior. Let's go.
Still mad about the Game Boy thing.
But yeah, like I wanted to go and do a whole segment on this. Like this game has so much into just JRPGs in general, and it's crazy because the history for this goes even further. It goes into
Yep.
Ultima Online or Ultima, and
I was saying not online.
Not online, I'm
Ultima
just-
was not a thing.
yeah,
yet.
no, I'm just used to saying Ultima Online, but
Yeah.
it goes into Ultima. Like it just goes further and further because then Ultima goes into D&D, and it's
Yep.
just it's crazy how far back and how much influence each game and each franchise built upon one another. And then the even like the biggest thing here is that these were competitors back then. Dragon Quest and
Yes.
Final Fantasy were competitors, and now they're under the same roof.
Yo.
What is that?
I mean, you know what that is? A perfect marriage.
Yeah, I guess you could say it. Well,
Yeah.
it's
No,
also
fight me. It's a perfect marriage.
it's also Enix, potentially going out of business, and Square being like, you know what, we need you, you need us, we're gonna buy you out.
Nah, it's a perfect marriage. you shut your you shut your hole.
No,
That-
but
that's
you
a
say
perfect marriage.
you say that, but it's around that merger time where
yeah.
where it was the down, like where Final Fantasy started going down, and Star Ocean started going down in quality and in like reception. So I don't know if it was a perfect marriage at the beginning.
There were some really solid Final Fantasy games after the Square Enix merger, but
After, like way
there were-
after.
yeah.
Like when it comes when it comes to the to Square saying that we're not going to remake Final Fantasy VII until we make a Final Fantasy game we're proud of, that's when you know you have a problem.
Yeah.
And that was around the Final Fantasy 13 era. Like, and some
Yeah,
people
I
want to
can
fight
disagree
me
with
with that. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry to tell you, if Square themselves is saying that they're not happy with Final Fantasy 13,
Is that $70 for Final Fantasy 3 card
Yeah.
only?
yeah, they got
That's what they go for now?
yeah.
Yo, that used to be people used to sleep on that game so hard.
That's 2 episodes in a row where I run into a Final Fantasy 3 or a Final Fantasy 6. But
Yeah, that's one game I wish I had complete.
so here we go. Here's the big one. Kuon. This game, this is the first time I've ever seen one.
$800?
750.
Okay,
It goes
seven.
for like
I'm
almost
sorry, 750.
900.
The
Just
average
under 900.
the average I think Harley, you said it was 800 in the video.
Yeah, it's like
Okay, I won't say it, but I think I own a
815.
copy of that.
No, you don't.
I think I do.
I need
I think
pictures
that's in
or
our collection.
I need pictures or it didn't happen.
I'll
Pixar
go
didn't
upstairs and
happen.
look.
You go look because I
I'm
will
not-
be
I'm not
very
taking a break from
envious.
this right now. I'll look later.
You know what I'm saying? You look, you put it in Discord because
Yeah,
I need to see it.
absolutely.
Because honestly, at all the retro stores I've been to, I've never seen this copy before. I've seen Rule of Rose, I've seen Haunting Ground, I've run into those a few times, but Kuon I've never run into. This is the very first time, and it's in Indiana. Like and I said before that the copy is in decent condition, like besides the bottom corner, but everything else looked good, and then the game itself looked good. It's just I can't spend $750.
That's crazy.
I don't have that kind of
On a
money right now.
PlayStation-
in
Is
this
it that
economy,
rare?
What's that?
Good.
I
Is it
said
that
this-
rare?
Yeah.
it is.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
this is one of the rarest PS2 games, one of the most expensive. I think it is the most expensive PS2 game that is not like a special release because of like a tournament or anything like that.
Yeah.
And not
Interesting.
not a graded copy of something either, because there are some games that are graded that are worth more than this graded.
Yeah, graded though, you could usually like multiply several times.
Yeah, so if I'm remembering correctly, out of the
You
last,
are correct.
yeah, this is the most expensive PS2 game.
Rule
I'm
of
gonna
Rose
legit have to go look.
is Rule of Rose is like second, but
think it's
it's
like
not
600.
even. Yeah, you were correct. It's like about 600,
Yeah.
and
I-
then you have Xenoblade 3. But that's
Well,
a variant
no,
cover,
well,
so
no,
that's
yeah,
a variant cover.
I was gonna say
so never mind.
that's the lenticular cover. I
Yeah,
keep
you
track
knew
of
exactly
these.
which one I'm talking about. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yep, I keep track of these because I mean, like, I want to get them, but
Yeah, I get that.
You know, one at a time. I honestly, I want Rule of Rose before I want Kuon, because I
I
played.
want Haunting Ground.
I want Haunting Ground too. I played Kuon. Like, I haven't beaten it, but I've played some of it, and you're gonna see gameplay footage while Harley's talking. I don't really like the gameplay of it. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah, it's and you think I would because it's survival horror. It's survival horror like tank controls, but I don't like the gameplay.
That's fair. That's 100% a thing at some point.
But I like that style of gameplay. That's what drives me crazy. Like, I wanted to like it.
Yeah, I mean, but there at some point, if the game's not good, the game's not good.
Here's what drove me, like, I didn't know that this was a From Software game. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was
I didn't know that either.
I did know that before I did research on it.
Really interesting backstory as to why it's
But it was actually kind of funny. I was like, I didn't realize that it was rare. I just thought people didn't like it, and then they, like a lot of the PlayStation 2 horror games that just shot up. And PlayStation 2 horror games are such an interesting topic too, because like a lot of them are really expensive.
Yeah, like the
Well,
Fatal
it had
Frames
some
got
really
up
good
there.
ones.
Yeah, because you have like, well, like
Fatal
you
Frame
said,
is
like
good, though.
yeah, Fatal Frame. Obscure is another one that's pretty expensive.
Because it's obscure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to.
I'm gonna be honest. I've been shocked by some of the things in my collection that have just been like legit money.
Oh no, me too.
Same.
Me too.
Terrifying.
Like the SMT
Well,
games that I have, I didn't expect a lot of them to be way up there like they are now.
You know what really shocked me? I have 2 left over right now. 2 of the original 1001 PlayStation 1s that have the RCA jacks in the back. I saw those in that other store that I want to take you to the other day for, I think it was like $350.
No.
I bought a garbage bag full of those for $30.
You said the PS1?
Yeah.
No, because I have one. I bought it for $90.
When? How recently?
Like a year and a half ago.
Apparently they've shot up in value, or this place is jacking for it.
With the one that has the IO adaptation in the back where you can put like the Game Shark or the Action Replay, right?
Yeah.
No way.
Once again, first time I've seen one in a store in a really long time, so I don't know if they've just exploded in value or if this place is jacking for it. But I legit bought a garbage bag full of those suckers for $30. Good grief, this had to be like 20 years ago. And I repaired them all and sold them all, you know, for a little bit more than I paid for them. But I held on to them over the years, and those were what I like eventually was like, okay, I need money, I'll sell another one off. I need money, I'll sell another one off, make $100 here or there. And like, if that's the honest value, I'm like, I might sell one of the ones that I have left.
So I want to say something about this game that just
Go for it.
I didn't like. When they talk, their mouths don't move, and it drives me nuts. Just animate some motion when they speak, please. I
mean,
call it a nitpick. But games at this
it's not a
era
nitpick,
were
that's legitimate.
games at this era were doing that. I don't know why they decided not to. Like, when they're talking, their mouths are just shut. And it was so weird.
You know, that's not the only game that like does something like that. Like Kingdom Hearts is so bad with like doing that, where they'll go from like a 3D animated face to the face going completely flat. It's like and it does that like weird animation where they just don't animate the whole thing in the same cutscene.
I
for the
I wonder if that
PlayStation
has something to do with
2. If you
the
look at other games
technical
like Call of
properties
Duty,
of
but
the
also it's
PlayStation 2,
super
whether it was just
expensive
not
as well,
able to
where they
do
have
that, where the
No, it's just what
game.
they did.
thing.
It's just I think that's just
Yeah,
what
but
they
some
did
of
with
these
that
scenes
game.
were animated like to such an extent that it'd be really hard for the PlayStation to like differentiate. Because a lot of times what they did is they made the character mat, and they would never like actually make the actual mouth able to open and close to make the face look more smooth.
Critics are just opinions, but some people
I
take
get into the
things
technical reason why all that
so
works,
it
but I
can
mean
bomb
it's
for a critic, but
it
it
and
can
at some
be
point
just
is a decision.
cultural, like,
Right.
phenomenon where everyone else loves
So
it,
I
people
will
hate it,
say when it
everyone
comes to
else
like
loves it.
the
So
horror
it's always
aspect
a
of
matter
this
of
game though,
opinion. But let
they
me know
did
what you
that well.
think
Like
about
this game
Ronnie.
actually
Would
made
you
me
spend
jump.
$850 on this? I
And
wouldn't. The internet's
I don't know if
free,
maybe
you
that was
know?
just because I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I was playing it, and so it just caught me off guard. But they did a good job with like the atmosphere of it.
I'm legit gonna have to go look. My wife collects a lot of those horror games. I think she got that one. I'll have to go look.
So uh, around here, you can see like little things, or not little things, but like other games. So like you got Shadow Hearts there. Like they have some good stuff, and I just there's not enough time to talk about all of these in one episode. So like we'll get to them as we get to them. Like DBZ Infinite World right there. I didn't even know that was going for $80 now. You
All
know,
the Dragon Ball games just explode in value.
Yeah.
like I know that the Metroid game over there started going up. You know, especially
Metroid Prime.
yeah, Metroid Prime 2. Not the first one. The first one didn't go up, but 2
Yeah, the
started
first
going
one
up.
was only like what, 20, $30, I
Yeah,
think?
no. But
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
The second one is what started going up in value, and a lot of that is because the announcement of Metroid Prime 4. And they made less of Metroid Prime 2 than they did of the first one.
That's probably why then.
Yeah, so it's I mean there's just so many games, and I want to like you see a Star Ocean right there. And that's a complete copy
Yeah.
of Star Ocean. And if I had the money, I would have picked that up because I want just to have a second copy of it. And there's two variations of that. Like there's one the discs are like holographic, and then there's another one. It's a matte cover. Like it's almost like the paper covers that they were putting on the PS1 discs towards the end of the PS1.
Yeah.
And so that was because it was a re-release of that game because it exploded in popularity on the PS1. So like I can't. There's not enough time to talk about all these. So I'm glad that we're doing the director's cut thing of this, because then I get to talk a little bit more about like what I found. That GameCube section was sad.
All GameCube. I feel like all GameCube sections are sad.
Well, people
Every-
are picking them up right now. The GameCube
yeah.
for some reason has exploded in popularity.
I feel like with like since like 2020, I just have seen just a huge increase. I would even go further, like 2019 is when I started seeing an increase of people's interest in the GameCube.
Well, people don't believe me, but when I was working at a Walmart when the GameCube came out, we couldn't sell them. Like legitimately, like
Yeah, I believe it.
you can see pictures of Walmarts that were like selling them for $50, like in a center aisle, and people were not buying them.
I knew one person who had a GameCube.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't own a GameCube until 2019.
I've owned 4 of them.
Yeah, no, I had no interest in the GameCube.
I
Didn't,
can't believe I missed that. Sorry.
that?
They have an Operation Raccoon City complete sitting right there, and that I have the game, but I don't have it complete. And $8 I could have picked that up. I didn't even notice that. Damn. Sorry.
That's fine. I almost bought a GameCube at Anime Week in Atlanta, but my wife talked me down because it was like $1,500.
What?
But it's the Char edition.
I don't
from
care.
Japan.
no,
I
I
don't care.
got
It's too
Oh.
much.
I got so lucky with my GameCube. It is it's a limited edition Pokemon one, the XD one, I think.
Yeah.
The silver, it's like got the silver, it's got like the Pokemon on the center. I don't know which one. I'm drawing a complete blank right now. I got it for like $50, I think, from a guy on like Facebook.
Yeah.
It
So
was like,
But there was a point in
Steal-
time where they were that price.
yeah.
So this place, Mega Replay, the game section is a third of this store. The rest of it is computers, it's movies. They have a lot of like computer peripherals that like Pilk, you would have liked this store because you like that stuff.
Yeah.
I just didn't record any of that because it wasn't relative to what like we were looking for right there. But yeah, this store was huge. It was massive. like their movie section was triple the size of their game section, and their computer section with like the old school CRTs and all the different peripherals that they had going on, like that were on display there. It was impressive. It again wasn't what I was looking for the show. Also, there's my brother. He needs to fix his hair. But yeah, that's the
I think it's
episode.
never that bad.
I mean, it's kind of messy. But yeah, that's the episode. The first place that we stopped in Indiana. So the next episode we go to another store, which is a lot smaller. You can fit the next store in the next episode. You can fit probably 6 of those into this mega replay, and probably still have space over for like just displays. But this next store has so many good things, and because it's such a small store, like I don't get a chance to. It's not a lot of recording, but there's a lot of discussions in history that Harley and I are going to be talking about because this store had so much stuff in there. I need to make another visit to this store because of how much I found there. But anyways, that was the first episode, or the first. This is the second episode. I'm sorry, we're not doing the commentary on the first one because the first one's just going to be the first one, and then from here on, we're doing the director's commentary. What were you going to say,
Wait,
Pilk?
so we're all technically directors?
No. Yes, you're the lead director. I bounce ideas
Man,
off
you
of you all the
ruined it.
time.
I was going to do a whole bit.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were doing a bit.
I know. I was trying to lead you in.
I
It's
can't
all
read
good.
your mind. Stop acting like my wife.
Listen. I was going to go somewhere completely different with that, but no.
No, but I mean, I had a lot of fun going to these places. My dog's barking. I had a lot of fun going to these places.
Your dog's our director too. We're going to put him in the opening.
Yeah, well, I mean, she is my Nintendo dog. Her name is Misty.
Yeah. Woof director.
Whoop director. But you know what? You know what we need? We need some sort of an outro for episodes, though. That's what I need. So that way, like when we're playing the outro, I can put like the end screens or like the click here and all that stuff. That's what I need. You want to get on that, Pilk?
I mean, you do all that in YouTube.
I know.
Or do you
but
just want like a credit roll? We do most of that in the beginning. We could
well,
like do a special thanks to all the stores that we visited.
with that, and we can then you have to do it every episode. Maybe for like the final episode we do that. No. We're not going to the first episode.
Then why'd you click on it?
I didn't. It auto-populated.
I watched you click on it. We can see it on your
I
screen.
did
my
not.
guy.
You clicked on it.
I
What?
clicked on it on your screen. Okay.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
You know what? We need to set up a Patreon. That's what we need. And then we can use the special thanks for the patrons.
That works.
You know what? That's a great idea. We honestly should.
A lot of this first season is trial and error, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we're doing a really darn good job.
Well, I mean, I'm having fun with it, and like I do the pre-edits, and then I send it off to Ronnie, who does the final edits for it, which I think he does a good job with it. This episode he did the final edits for. The first episode he didn't get a chance to, but this one
Yeah.
he did. The next episode he's doing it from every episode on, and I think he does a good job with it. He understands like my humor with it, and like when it calls for it, like for Harley's bloopers there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, you guys all do a good job with everything. I mean, like I said, Pilk, you did the intro for it, and you helped me a lot of times with bouncing ideas and trying to figure things out. So so that's always a big help. Holy crap, that Shadow Hearts was $109. Sorry.
You know the sad reality is I don't consider that expensive anymore.
It's
Dude, I have been flabbergasted at what some of the things in my collection are valued at. It's insane.
I refuse to spend that kind of money
$100?
yeah,
on a video
Harley-
game.
Harley doesn't
Yeah.
even want to spend retail.
Fuck that.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
she doesn't even want to spend the $60 retail.
I
Or
don't
70 in
spend-
some
no, no, no,
cases.
No. Harley don't pay price for shit.
So I almost bought a copy of Sonic 2 for the Genesis. It was complete inbox, factory sealed, and it was like $500. I was going to send it off to get graded, hawk it, and buy a couple other games. And like I'm doing this whole trade up thing now, where I grade a game that I don't necessarily care too much about. Like I already own Sonic 2 complete in box. It's what I got with my first Genesis, and so having a second copy is not that big of a deal. But if I could buy 3 or 4 games that I really love and care about that are expensive as sin, and then like, hawk one of them to buy the next set of 3 or 4 games, and then hawk one to buy the next set of 3 or 4 games, to me that's a great way to like trade up and like level up my whole collection. So I'm looking at games that are in that like $300, $400, $500 range.
I should
Yeah, I just
probably
wait till
get
they'll
my
show up
sealed
at a thrift
games.
store.
I should probably get
I
my
swear
sealed
to
games
God.
graded.
I wait till it shows up at a thrift store. I get lucky. I wait. I watch market prices. I waited until Conker's Bad Fur Day dropped, and I got it for $60, and that shit jumped up again. So, yeah, I just won't do it. I refuse. It's worked out for
Yeah.
me, though. I mean,
No,
there
that's fair.
there are some games I miss out on. I'll be blatantly honest about it, but also like emulations of things. So, like, if I really want to play a game,
Yeah, but I guess that's the whole collector versus just to play it.
I would
Yeah.
love to actually own like ultimately I would love to own it. Like I will go for owning a physical copy, but not everyone has $800 laying around to throw on to play Quan. So I will just emulate that until
Yeah,
I
and that's fair.
I'll be honest, if I owned it, I wouldn't play it. It would go in my collection and it would collect dust. If we have the actual copy upstairs right now, I'd be honest with you, that thing is going to go off and get graded next week, 100%. Because I want that thing on my shelf in perfect condition. No one's ever going to touch it again. I have a number of my Pokemon games that I recently sent off, and I'm like, get those graded. If somebody wants to crack those open in 20, 30 years and play them like one of my kids, who cares? It cost me $35 to get it graded. But I want to protect that asset, right? But if I want to play it, I'll emulate it.
Who do you send it to go get graded?
CGC.
Okay, so you're not doing WADA. Don't do them.
good.
No,
Okay, cool.
WADA's
Cool,
WADA
cool, 'cause
doesn't hold any value.
I would have actually yelled at you if it was Wada.
All right, so we're gonna call it from here, guys. Thank you so much. We'll be back or else we're just gonna keep rambling. We'll be back with episode 3, and then we'll do the director's commentary for that, so you guys can have some fun with us while we look at the fines. I'm gonna go let my dog out because she's going crazy. Pilk, thank you for joining tonight.
I apparently have to go look at my PS2 collection.
Yes, you do, because I need a picture of Kuan. Harley, thank you for joining tonight.
Anytime.
Well, that's going to be soon because we got to do episode 3. So I will see.
Shit.
I will see you guys and everybody.
I appreciate
thank you for
that
watching.
she swore more in this episode than I have.
Oh,
I know,
swear all
right?
the time.
That's
Right?
impressive.
And the thing is, like, I'm not gonna censor it because this is director's commentary.
Yeah.
I curse like a sailor.
I know you do. I got to censor those.
The funny part
sorry.
is, I'm in my one channel mode where I've just like completely like put that on the backside. Like I am not going to swear in this episode that much.
And that's
I
fine.
I think
Noticed.
it's funny.
That's fine.
I think it's funny. I think they're sentence enhancers. I think it's funnier when they're
Sentence
beeped out too.
enhancers?
I think
Okay, SpongeBob.
I think it's funnier when they're beeped out too.
You know what? That's the joke, is that they are funnier when they're bleeped out.
Oh, absolutely.
It's funny when they're there. It's funny when they're not there. I love them.
All right. I'll catch you guys later.
All right.
No, you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.